Hey scholars, welcome back to your writing lessons. We are on our final day of writing review before next week when we start with some new topics in writing that we might not have ever learned before, which is really exciting. So today is the last day of lessons where you've probably learned this, and this is just review for you. Yesterday, we were working on verb tense. So we're still working this week on sentence structure. Yesterday was verb tense. We learned how to write verbs, action words, such as bake or cook or walk in past tense, present tense, and future tense. So we're going to quickly review what those three tenses mean, and then we're going to jump into our new lesson for today, which is how do we decide which tense to use? Now, if you did not see yesterday's video, make sure you go back and watch yesterday's video before you watch today's video. You need yesterday's video to help you with today's. Okay, so yesterday we talked about past tense, which is when it's already happened. We also talked about present tense. It's happening right now. You are doing that right now. And we talked about future tense. It will happen at some point, but it's not happening right now. I also left this note here from yesterday when we were working with our present tense. That verb be that we placed before the verb, our actual action word that we're going to be using in our sentence. So we would say, if it's baking, I am baking. You are baking. He, she is baking. We are baking. They are baking. So here we have the different ways that we write the verb be to help us with our present tense sentences. So you can use this to help you out if you need it in our lesson. Yesterday we were taking one verb and we were putting it into past tense, present tense, and future tense, but today our directions are a little different. Our directions today say, complete the sentence with the correct tense using the words in the sentence as context clues to help you. Context clues means it helps our brain think about what the answer should be. So I'm going to do the first example so that these directions make sense. Right now, all you need to do is pay attention and just be watching. You do not need to write down in your composition book yet. Okay, so first example, we go to the store tomorrow. We're going to the store tomorrow. So this word tomorrow is my context clue. It's helping me to know that this verb go needs to be written in future tense. It's going to happen tomorrow. Future tense, it will happen. So I'm going to take this verb go and I'm going to write it in future tense. Now, yesterday we learned that with future tense, we use will. We will go to the store tomorrow. There. That's what we're going to be doing today with all of our sentences. You can get your composition book and your pencil ready, and you can get ready to follow along with me. Here's our next sentence. It says, she baked those cookies yesterday. What do you think is the context clue in this sentence? What is that key word that helps you identify what tense the verb should be written in? If you said yesterday, you are correct. Oops. Yesterday tells me that this already happened. The cookies were baked yesterday. That means we need to put this verb in past tense. So let's think about our rules from yesterday. If the verb is bake, we know for past tense we have an ed ending. So we add a D. She baked those cookies yesterday. In your composition book, make sure you have this sentence with the verb baked in past tense. When you're ready, we'll move on to the next one. This sentence says, he, some form of the verb wash, his car right now. So he's doing it right now. What's our context clue here that's helping us figure out what tense we should put our verb in? Yeah, it's actually two words. It's right now, or you could just say the word now. It's happening right now. That tells us that this needs to be put in present tense. We learned yesterday how to put our verbs into present tense. It says he is, and then we add that ing ending. Do you remember that from yesterday? He is washing. So we added is, and we added this ing ending. He is washing his car right now. Get that down in your composition book, and let's move to our next one. My dad and I blank on the phone last week. We're going to use the verb talk. And that verb talk, Miss Metz got a little tricked. We're going to put that in the correct tense. So let's see. We talked on the phone last week. Write this down in your composition book, but don't put the tense of the verb yet. And then circle or highlight, if you have a highlighter, the context clue here. What helped you identify what tense this verb needs to be put in? Yep, you should have highlighted last week. That tells us that this already happened. We already talked on the phone. My dad and I, we know for past tense verbs that we add that ed ending. My dad and I talked on the phone last week. Great, let's move to the next one. I want you to give this one a try on your own. So I want you to figure out, how should that verb read be written in this sentence? What tense? And what word in this sentence helped you figure out what tense it should be written in? You can try it on your own and pause the video right now, or you can continue to play it so that you can follow along with Miss Metz. So here in this sentence, the word tonight tells me that it will happen later in the day. Miss Metz just gave you a clue, will happen. So I will read chapter 5 of the book. Our sentence should read, tonight I will read chapter 5 of the book. If you pressed play and checked your answer, I hope that you got that right on your own. If not, that's okay. You can go ahead and fix it now. Here's our next example. Again, you can pause the video and try this one on your own, or you can go along with me. For dinner, you eat tacos with your family. Kind of like our last example here, our context clue is for dinner. I can predict that that is happening later in the day. So this again is future tense. So we're going to use that word will. You will eat tacos with your family. You could also have put this in present tense. Maybe you're sitting and eating dinner right now. For dinner, you are eating tacos with your family. I would accept that one as well. But for this example, I'm going to say it's future tense. For dinner, you will eat tacos with your family. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. Now I blank this sentence. There's a key word in here, a context clue, that's going to help you figure out what tense to write that verb in. Yep, hopefully you saw that it is now. It's happening right now, which means we need to do a little bit of changing to this verb right. I am right. We're going to take that E ending away because we're adding our ing ending. I am writing this sentence. Now I am writing this sentence. We're going to move to our next one. This is actually our last example here. It says, soon we meet in person. What do you think the verb tense should be for the verb meet? What's your context clue in this sentence? It's going to help you figure that out. Pause the video, try it on your own, and then press play when you're ready to check. Good. So our context clue here is soon. Soon means it's going to happen sometime in the near future. So it might happen tomorrow, it might happen next week, it might happen next month. Soon just tells us that in a short amount of time that will happen. But it's still future tense. It will happen in the future. So soon we will meet in person. Hope you got that one was future tense. Now I have your independent work for you for today. First, you have your writing prompt that you can do in your journal, in your composition book, or on a separate sheet of paper, whatever works for you. Today's prompt says, write a fairy tale about a prince who gets rescued by a princess. So this time it's different from what we're used to seeing in Disney movies where the princess gets rescued by the prince. Try and tell kind of an opposite fairy tale where the prince gets rescued by a princess. Now, we know that when we tell fairy tales, they happened once upon a time, which is a long time ago. So I want you to make sure as you're writing this fairy tale that all of your sentences are written in past tense. This will give you a lot of practice with past tense verbs. Yesterday, if you did your worksheets, you saw that our worksheets were all about past tense verbs because we use them a lot. We use them more than we realize. Then you'll have a worksheet, and that worksheet's actually going to be focused on future tense. So we've done a lot of practice on past tense. We'll do a worksheet on future tense verbs. And then lastly, a push to work on your Quill lesson. So continuing to work on your Quill app, which is through your Clever account. If your teacher doesn't have it, totally okay. Just make sure you're working on the writing prompt and that worksheet. All right. Well, it's been great teaching you guys writing review. I'm so excited for Monday when we actually get started on some new content. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.